What did your husband tell you about his reaction to this request for $2 million to, quote, make this go away?
He said he just got, that Fletch just got himself fired, that he said there's no way we would do that, and he was shocked.
I mean, it's pretty clear Bill Fletcher wasn't talking about he was going to go hire 500 more lawyers. What did he need $2 million to do?
Objection to the form.
I have no idea.
Did he just want to keep it himself?
Same
I
objection.
don't know. I don't know what the money would have been for. I don't know what he had in mind. I didn't speak with him, so all I know is what's, on here.
But surely, let me put it this way. Have you or your husband had a lot of experiences in your life when somebody asks you for $2 million, not for a charitable request or to build a high school gymnasium?
Can't say that we have, no.
I bet that was an interesting dinner table conversation when your husband told you about that.
It was pretty interesting, yes.
Mr. Chase strikes me as an intelligent, insightful man who has used those abilities to be very successful in his career.
Yes.
And I didn't spend a whole lot of time with him, but I suspect if somebody just called him up on the phone, somebody that he'd hired for PR, and said, hey, I need $2 million to make this go away, Mr. Chase might have a follow-up question. What's the $2 million for? What was Bill Fletcher's response to what he would need $2 million for?
Object to the form of the question.
I don't know what. I don't know that Dean would have asked him what the $2 million were for. We didn't have it, so we weren't going to pay it anyway. And the inference was that whatever he was going to do was not something Dean was going to do anyway, because we thought that it was going to be dropped shortly anyway. And it wouldn't be, that's not the way he plays.
You're an ethical and religious person, aren't you?
Yes,
Your husband's an ethical man, isn't he?
absolutely.
Did he perceive this request for $2 million as something unethical he was being asked to participate in?
I don't know how far the conversation went as far as making it very, very clear, but I would say that whatever my husband inferred from the conversation was something that he was not interested in pursuing.
Was your perception that Bill Fletcher wanted $2 million to bribe someone?
Object to the form of the question.
I don't know what he wanted $2 million for.
I know, and this is the lawyer question. I'm not asking you to tell me what was in Bill Fletcher's head. Mm-hmm. I'm asking you to tell me why, in my view, appropriately, the Chases recoiled from that.
I think Dean inferred that that was the purpose.
Making it go away would have required a decision on Glenn Funk's part, correct?
Well, since he was in control of the dropping the charges or not, I guess the answer would be yes.
Did you get the sense that Bill Fletcher's request for $2 million was to give to Glenn Funk.
Object the form of the
I
question.
did not get that feeling. I didn't know what to think of it.
You told me earlier that you perceived that the request was for money to pay a bribe, and you tell me that.
Well, I didn't know.
Sure, and I understand.
I mean,
That we're
it
talking about-
might have been. I mean, I don't know. If I said yes to that, then I don't know what it would have been paid for. I mean, what it would have gone for.
Well, let me just lay it out there as somebody who's read through this stuff over and over and over and tried to make sense of it. You were there, so you get the benefit of having lived it to the extent that's a benefit. I'm sure it's not. But from a factual standpoint, you know better than me. For all the world, it looks like Bill Fletcher came to the Chase family and said, for $2 million, I'll make this go away. The Chase family recoiled and said, absolutely not. You're fired. We're going to call this former Secret Service agent to talk to us. And about the same time, David starts blowing up about what Glenn Funk has done, and that Glenn Funk has tried to blackmail him, and that he is going to file a lawsuit against Glenn Funk, that he's going to go public with all of these things. Did David know, or was David speaking about this request for $2 million when he was saying he's going to go after Glenn Funk?
Object the form
I
of the
don't
question.
know. I don't know when Dean told David about that, and I don't know the sequence of events of what happened when.
When we talked earlier about the text messages that we read previously, where you were trying to tell David, just wait, and you told me that was in reference to filing a lawsuit against Glenn Funk, but you couldn't remember what it was for. Was it because David had concluded that Glenn Funk had asked him for a bribe through Bill Fletcher?
Oh, I don't,
Same objection.
I did not get that feeling at all. That Glenn Funk asked for a bribe, no.
Who would have been paid with this bribe other than Glenn Funk?
Object the form of the question.
Number one, I don't know that there was ever any bribe offered to Glenn Funk. This is the first time I've heard of even that as a possibility. Number two, my understanding was that the money that we're discussing was for Fletch, and for whatever, he did not give any indication as to whether that was going to be something he was going to keep or he was going to use to set in motion these things. I don't know what it was, but I did not get any impression about it involving Glenn Funk in the way of a bribe.
Why would Bill Fletcher think that he would just get to keep the $2 million he requested?
I don't know.
Object the